Previously on Third and Roll.
The line judge seems to be, counting on his fingers here.
Argos with a 7-0 run.
An incredible goal line stand by the Argonauts defense.
Did you find that he wasn't maybe a big enough fan of beer? It is an age of Canadian football domination. In the West, the Edmonton Eskimos are a dynasty without equal. Behind the quarterback tandem of Tom Wilkinson and Warren Moon, the Eskimos won 5 consecutive Grey Cup championships between 1978 and 1982. In the East, 4 teams battle it out through a 6-game season to see who will meet Edmonton in the championship game. The Toronto Argonauts have not hoisted a Grey Cup since 1952. Will this be their year? Let's find out. This is Third and Roll.
Welcome to Third and Roll, a Canadian football board game podcast. Today is episode 4. We have halftime with Ron Bouman and Brett Branigan in the studio. We've got the continuation of Todd Grey's interview with Duncan Blankensop. All that, and the Argos try to make a comeback at home against the Montreal Alouettes. We take you now to Ron Bouman in the studio as we kick off halftime. Ron, take it away.
Hello and welcome to the Canadian Armchair Football League halftime show. We have had a half of football and we are now 50% complete in the game. We have completed approximately 500,000 parts per million of the football game. So now as we pass the time during this break period, we will hear from somebody who knows something about Canadian armchair football. Please go ahead.
Is that me? Ron, I'm livid. I am livid. This is the second game in a row where I said, come to me for the beginning so I can make a prediction. Now I'm looking foolish. I was going to be picking Montreal. Now Montreal is ahead, and I can't say Montreal now because they already have a lead. But I gotta say that this is really a disgraceful performance by the officials out there. I don't see why they're not going to let them play football. I thought that's the game we were playing. I thought the game we were playing was football. There have been 200, let me get these numbers right. There have been 217 offensive yards in this game. There were 60 yards of penalties on just 2 plays alone. That is outrageous. It is ridiculous. It is no wonder that the fans were throwing objects onto the field at the end of the first half. Maybe it's because they were super excited by that third down stop by the Argos. And Ron, you're getting better. You are learning more about the game, but I gotta get somebody else in here that knows football so I can argue with them about what's happening in the game. So here are my keys for the second half of the game. Argos have to really establish the pass. So Argos have had 102 yards offense in this first half, 67 on the ground, 35 through the air. Jackson has to get Terry Greer involved. Terry Greer is going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. I hope it does not take over 30 years for him to get there, but you have to push the ball down the field. This is what the crowd wants. I'm really disappointed by the play calling from the Argos so far, and I'm hoping for a much better performance in the second half. Ron?
And there you have it. And now we take it back to the field for the second half of football.
Thank you, Ron. Ed Welch up here in the booth with Norman Knuckleberger. The Argos deferred to start off the first half, so they will be receiving the ball here to start the second half.
Well, Edward, I heard our friend there calling out for someone to argue with, and I feel like, hey, maybe I'm the one to do the job there, so Yeah, scratch that.
Norman, you don't have the guts to come down here up in the studio. You're up there in your booth with your fancy, bird's eye view. You don't know what it's like being down here in this air-conditioned studio where we really only have to talk for about 20 minutes a game. You have it easy up there. You just gotta see what's happening and then say something about it. We gotta think. We only have a certain amount of time. We have to gather our thoughts, we have to collect our thoughts, and we have to put through a point of view that shares our perspective and explains our personality to the crowd and to the viewers at home so they can really get an appreciation for us. You just have it easy up there. You got it easy. You don't have the guts to come down here and provide halftime analysis.
Well, here we have it. This is somebody that he really knows what he's talking about. I feel his pain. I feel his frustration. He's the one letting it out. He's the one that's communicating that passion to play the game. And when you see the game played and it's not the way that you want it to be played, that's frustrating. That just shows that he really feels the game. So I respect that. And yeah, I'm happy to commentate any day. But you have a good point there, because your job there in the halftime, you are the philosopher, the reflector, the considerer who can give the wider view. And here I am in the booth, and it's responding to the news. So it's like the difference between being a journalist and a great author.
Wow, Norman, you are always a peacemaker. I would not have been nearly as nice to Brett, but you're really seeing all sides there and making sure we're all part of one happy family here at the Third and Roll podcast. We want to make sure that everyone's having a good time. This is something we do for fun. So we want to be very clear about that. It's something we do for fun. We want to make sure we're having a good time. We want to make sure you're having a good time. And we want to make sure that we are sharing this game of Canadian football that we all love so much. We do it from love. We do it for fun. We hope you have as much fun listening to it as we do making it. I hate to see those sparks flying between the different members of this broadcast, but you know what? Sometimes conflict is good for TV. Let's see if we're going to have a little bit more conflict in the second half of this game. We have the...
Edward here. Edward there. This is Ron Bouman. And
Ron, I've never had you interject before when I was speaking. This is brand new territory.
I really have to strenuously disagree with your point that conflict is good. Conflict is not good. We should not be disagreeing in the presence of the viewers. No, we must have a vision and a united front. Therefore, I am interjecting in your part of the broadcast in order to tell you that you're incorrect. I just felt that was an important point to make.
So you were disagreeing with my point that disagreement makes for interesting television. McGrath's going to be kicking off to start the second half. That is a 60-yard kick down to the 5-yard line of the Argos. Cuts it up the middle, picks up 25.
First down, Toronto.
From their own 30-yard line, Argos down 13-7. Brett wants the Argos to get Greer involved in the game. We'll see if they take his advice. Jackson, under center, looks as though he is not listening to Brett. I am livid. He is handing the ball off to Metcalf for a off-right tackle. Let's see what he can do here. Breaks it to the right, and he gets brought down by Wally Buono at the 40-yard line, so that is a pickup of 10 yards on the play there.
First down.
He is looking down the field. They're throwing a long pass. It is up. Greer in the corner, and it is knocked down. Randy Rhino comes over the top, slaps the ball down. That is his real name. That is not a description of an animal that has run onto the field. Defensive back Randy Rhino slaps the ball down. Argos trying to push the ball deep down the field. No luck there, but you can't blame them for trying. Let's see where they go from here.
Second down.
Argos looking for a pass from option here. Jackson looks for Greer. Greer over the middle. There's a break in the coverage. It's a 25-yard pickup. That's a first down for the Argos. Once Greer has it, he picks up an additional 6 yards, so that is a 31-yard pickup. It is going to be 1st and 10 Argos at the Montreal 39-yard line. The crowd's excited. I'm looking down and I see Brett jumping up and down in the booth. That is exactly what he wanted to see happen. He is very pleased. Here we go from the 39-yard line. Jackson hands it off to Metcalf, going to the right, picks up 5.
There's a flag on the play.
Officials are conferring. Okay, let's take it down to the officials. Flag on the play. Defensive roughing. 15-yard penalty. There's a major penalty. It's going to be 1st and 10 Argos from the 20-yard line.
Well, the Alouettes really looking frustrated on that drive. I mean, they're just being pushed back. Maybe they went into that halftime with a little bit of an inflated sense of their position in the game, because right now they're on the back foot.
So Jackson under center, hands it off to Metcalf. Metcalf going up the middle. Metcalf picks up 2 yards.
2nd down.
Jackson looking to dump it off short to Metcalf. It is incomplete. Wow. Wally Buono swoops in, knocks the ball down. It is
3rd down.
and 8 from the 17-yard line.
Well, Wally Buono is become a terror to this offense. I mean, he is just finding that ball and keeping it out of the hands of the Argos receivers.
Absolutely.
Zenon Andrisheshin.
Is on to kick. He's got good protection. The ball is up. And it's good. That is good. It is a field goal there for the Argos.
There is only goal.
So with that, it is 13-10 Montreal. Argos chipping into that lead. Argos getting ready to kick it off.
Zenon Andrisheshin.
Kicks the ball. It is a 55-yard kick. Montreal taking the ball from their own 15-yard line. Brings it up the middle, 20 yards.
1st down, Montreal.
From their own 35-yard line.
So the same Argos defense that was able to make that goal line stand to end the first half now takes the field again.
This is James Franklin, quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts, and you're listening to 3rd and Roll.
So Barnes in the shotgun, hands it off to Green. Green with the ball, and he is knocked back by Bruce Clark. That is a loss of 1 on the play.
2nd down.
And 11. Barnes back in the shotgun. He spotted Baker over the middle. Ball is up. Preston Young jumps in and swats the ball down. That ball is incomplete, but
There's a flag on the play.
let's see if it's on the offense or the defense. It is defensive holding. So Preston Young got a little bit grabby on that one. It is a 10-yard pickup. It's going to be a 3rd and 1
Montreal.
from their own 44-yard lines. They're on their side of the field, but it's a 1 yard to go.
The holding penalty, always a tricky penalty. I mean, it hurts to see a play nullified by something that just looks like a simple grab, but that's the rule of the game, holding to prevent arm grabbing. It's a very unsatisfying rule, Edward. You know, it really, I can see why it has to be there, but it just never feels good when that's the call. But now we're at a 3rd and 1, and it looks like Montreal's keeping their offense on the field.
Oh, goodness me. Montreal looks as though they're going for a quarterback sneak, and they have picked it up. Barnes was able to squeak through to the right, picks up 3 on the play.
1st down, Montreal.
The crowd collectively grumbling from the penalty that nullified what would have been another impressive Argos defensive stand.
All right, so Barnes back under center, hands it off to Green. Green makes it up to the left, and he gets pushed back. He's losing 7 yards. And then the ball is out. Bruce Clark stripped the ball. It is going to be Argos ball. Wow, another turnover here. This crowd is going nuts. Norman, what do you think there? I mean, going for a reverse on 1st and 10.
Well, it looked like they were risking the turnover on 3rd and 1, and they managed to convert. But then on the very next play, the fumble is the threat that never goes away. Argos pick up the ball, have a short field in front of them. This is the moment the Argos have been waiting for. And once again, the defense.
No, absolutely. Bruce Clark really doing a fantastic job here. Just really keeping the Argos in this game at this point in time.
1st down, Toronto.
Argos with the ball. Jackson getting ready to hand it off to Metcalf. Looks like it's a draw play. Metcalf gets through the line of scrimmage, and that is a 20-yard pickup.
What a run.
Down to the 20-yard line. They really fooled them there with the draw. They thought they were going for a pass, did a little pause, and handed it off to Metcalf. Metcalf makes it up the middle, down to the 20-yard line. Let's see if they can capitalize on this.
Well, the Argos taking advantage of their pass-heavy play calling with the draw play. Montreal was all set up for another Argos pass, and Toronto finds a huge hole, 20 yards.
Argos going right back to that rushing game. Jackson pitches it out to Metcalf. Metcalf picks up 6. Metcalf gets down to the 14-yard line.
Second down.
And 4 here from... Let's go down to the line judge. Line judge, what are you seeing out there?
There's another conference of the officials as there seems to be some difficulty with this game. The line judge is saying the ball should be spotted at the 14-yard line, although he is not doesn't seem to be entirely confident of that choice.
Okay, well, the ties go to the line judge. So from the 14-yard line. So 2nd and 4 Argos. The crowd doesn't care why, but they just know they're getting closer to that end zone. They can smell it. Jackson handing it off to Metcalf to the right. Picks up 5. So that'll be a first down, but
There's a flag on the play.
And it is illegal interference on the defense. So that is going to push them even closer to the goal. It was from the 14-yard line. The Argos picked up 5, which goes down to the 9. It is a 15-yard penalty, so that's half the distance to the goal. So it's going to be 1st and goal Argos from the 4.5-yard line.
Argos are smelling that end zone now. This crowd is just loving the roller coaster. Here they are at the door.
So Jackson in the shotgun. He's waiting. He's letting the defense come towards him. He's trying to do a screen pass. He dumps it to Metcalf, and Metcalf drops the ball. 2nd and goal from the 4.5-yard line. Disappointing there for the Argos. They still got 2 more chances to get the ball into the end zone.
2nd down.
Jackson back, hands it off to Metcalf, who's going over center. Metcalf picks up 1. They're down to the 3.5-yard line. So it is
3rd and roll.
This is decision time now for the Argos. They could tie the game with a field goal, but at the same time, they are also within the 5-yard line. Looks as though they are not bringing their kicking team out onto the field. Looks as though they are going to be going for it. Yes, they're definitely going to be going for it. Jackson handing it off to Metcalf to the right. Metcalf with the ball. And he busts it into the end zone. So it is a touchdown for the Argos. The Argos take the lead. This is their first lead of the game. The crowd is extremely excited. And they have made the extra point. So that is going to be 17-13 Argos here in the 3rd quarter.
Welcome back. With the Argos taking the lead over the Montreal Alouettes, now we move on to Todd Grey's interview with Duncan Blankenstop, the representative for Carling O'Keefe, the brewing company that owns the Toronto Argos. And Duncan explains how Carling is attempting to lead Toronto City Council into a new age involving beer and football. Todd, take it away.
It's interesting that you have that vision. Of course, you know, the fans listening at home will know that as of today, in 1980, you're not able to purchase any alcoholic beverages at Exhibition Stadium.
Changes in the winds.
Right, and so, you know, Carling O'Keefe, you certainly brewery. I apologize if I'm not using the full name I'm referring to. How do you think? Because this is a local city ordinance that is resulting in the reason why a beer is not being offered. Is Carling approaching, you know, putting some type of pressure upon the local authorities to try to, you know, maybe enlighten them on their position to see the benefits of maybe allowing beer to be sold at Argos games?
We've certainly lobbied city officials in order to encourage them to align with our vision of a drinking and sporting event opportunity.
Right.
And they see opportunities for themselves in taxes, sponsorships, you name it. But eventually, let's be honest, Carling O'Keefe Breweries is one of the big three brewers in Canada. They will get on board eventually.
Right. And if maybe some of them don't, then maybe,
they'll disappear.
There will be a challenger in the next election, of course. Okay.
Yes, there will.
Okay. Well, thank you, Duncan. What now? You talked a bit about what your vision is for the future and your relationship with William Hodgson. What about you yourself, Duncan? So,
what about me?
What about you? So, I can call you Duncan, right? Should I call you Mr. Blankenstop?
As long as I can call you Todd.
You can call me Todd. Okay. Duncan, do I get this right that you also grew up in London, Ontario? Is that correct?
I am a Londoner born and bred.
And Carling is a London-based
That's
brewery.
right. It began in the 19th century. It has a centuries old legacy, much like the Argonauts, which is why when we saw the opportunity to take full ownership of the Argonauts, it just was a natural fit. It has long fermented like a fine pilsner in the imaginations of sporting fans here in Canada, much like our Carling drafts.
Oh, those drafts. And so when you were growing up in London, did you perhaps go to any of the Western Mustang games over there at Western University? Did you see, what is your relationship with Canadian football? Do you have a favorite Argos, Toronto Argonauts player? Say perhaps from the current team.
From the current team. I don't know shit about the current team. I got my notes from like 1981. It's only 1980. That was 1982 when I came in here. Conrad Holloway, not around.
Yes, so that's. And I'm glad you brought up Conrad Holloway. So he's currently the quarterback for the Ottawa Rough Riders, who, the first game of the season was between Toronto and Ottawa. I do understand that his contract is up at the end of this year. I know you're not exactly in charge of football operations, but do you think maybe the Argonauts could make a play for Holloway?
I think they absolutely can. I can't say anything now, but there could very well be talks. Ongoing talks right now with Mr. Holloway to come join the Argos.
Oof.
As he is a top tier football player and be a beer fan. I can envision.
That's pretty important.
We've passed this to marketing, a Holloway hops, if you will. Perhaps even Mr. Cedric Minter. If Argonauts fans can envision for a minute a Cedric cider. Cider's going to be big. I know it's 1980, and let's be honest, there aren't a lot of cider fans out there right now, but one day, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 years from now, craft brewers, ciders, they'll be all the rage.
Wow.
We're getting ahead of the market. That's
what
how much of a leader Carling O'Keefe Breweries aspires to be.
Who's Mintner? Who is that?
Cedric Minter. He was a running back who joined in 81.
In what?
It's a running back who joined in 81.
Okay, so one year from now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talks are ongoing. Okay. Todd.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Todd and Duncan. We will be hearing more from them next week. It will be the final part of our 3-part interview between Todd Grey and Duncan Blankenstop, so stay tuned for that next week.
You're listening to Third and Roll. Can I say the same thing but in Tamil? நீங்கள் கேட்டுக்கொண்டிருப்பது Third and Roll.
30 seconds left in the third quarter. The Argos will be kicking it off to the Montreal Alouettes. Argos now with a 4-point lead here in the game. Let's see what Montreal can do. This is their first time that they're behind in the entire game. So Argos with the ball. It is a 55-yard kick.
Well, the Argos have mounted an incredible comeback to pull out the lead from being down 13 points, to make the gutsy call and the correct call to go for a 3rd and goal from the 3. And now take the lead in this game. See what the Alouettes can do.
Alouettes, they receive the ball at their own 10. Alouettes able to make it up the middle for a 20-yard pickup, so it'll be
First down, Montreal.
from their 30-yard line. So 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. This will be the last play of the third quarter.
Well, the first half has been a strange one, but this third quarter has been all glorious Argonauts comeback.
Absolutely. So Green with the ball, and he is pushed back by Clark. That is a loss of 3 on the play, and with that, that is the final play of the third quarter. When we come back, it will be 2nd and 13 Montreal from their own 27-yard line, down 17-3 against the hometown Toronto Argonauts. We'll be right back after this.
And the field gets reversed, just to show that we're fair and this field is absolutely level. Although, Edward, I've often thought that it would be quite interesting to play a game on a sloped field where it actually curves up towards the end zone. So by the time you get up to the end zone, you're going right uphill. And the end zone would be like the keep at each end.
Like what kind of a slope are you thinking about here? Like 10 degrees or a real steep one?
Well, imagine it being flat through the middle, and as you're starting to slope up, as you get, maybe in the 20 and by the time you get like from 10 to the goal line, you'd be like steeply. It could be as steep as could practically be done. If you eventually got it too steep, there might be some difficulties. But hey, why not 45 degrees? Why not 60 degrees and why not have an actual wall at the end?
Now, how do you think that would affect the line of sight for the fans sitting in the first row? Do you think they'll be able to see? I guess they could always be looking down, so you'd always be able to get a good angle to see down towards the middle of the field. It would also impact the kicking game, I would think. It would be pretty hard to cover a kickoff if you have to run downhill and then run back uphill to tackle somebody.
It would be inconvenient.
It would be hard, and I would think there would be a lot of trips and a lot of falls. But you know what? I mean, you have the Arena Football League, so why not have something a little bit different and build some really deep holes in the middle of the football field?
I think there's a lot of potential there. I'm always imagining what else they could do. But this is the game we have, and it makes perfect sense to have a flat rectangle. I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds like, hey, flat rectangle, what else can you do with it? But,
I mean, we could talk to some of the yards keepers, and maybe there'd be some kind of, in terms of just watering that field, it's got to probably end up being pretty soggy down in the middle. The water is rolling down the slopes and pooling towards midfield, but you know what? They get paid the big bucks, and why not have them? It's just an extra challenge.
Oh, and yeah, that when you say that, it makes me think. Yes, moat. There's a moat in the neutral zone. The neutral zone is water, and they have to swim to get across. Now, wow.
It would be challenging, especially with all that equipment. Well, thank you, Norman.
Next time on Third and Roll.
This line has a name. This is the center line. You know how much I love going for it, but I also love ties.
I saw the name Dick Shadow and I said, yup. I'm writing that one down.
Third and Roll is an independent Canadian football board game podcast recorded in Toronto, Ontario in 2019. Today's episode featured the voices of Spencer, Alex, Bryce, and Subi.
This works for me.
Thanks, Subi. Our cover art is illustrated by Bryce Hall. This episode was edited by
Spencer Adams from Toronto.
Our theme music is Magic Mountain by Jazzar. Brett Branigan's theme is The Spellbreaker by Tritachyon. Both songs used through a Creative Commons Attribution License and freemusicarchive.org. Ron Bouman's theme is Bach's Mach für Daak, performed by United States Army Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. The Pedant's theme is Bach's Variato una 5 clave, performed by Kimiko Ishizaka. Todd Grey's interview music is Bach's Aria Variata, variation number 3, performed by Brendan Kinsella. That's a lot of Bach. All Bach pieces used are in the public domain.
If you'd like to help support the show, you can tell a friend or leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcatcher you use. Or you can head on over to patreon.com/thirdandroll and become a patron to get exclusive early access to new game episodes and to become a recurring character on the show. If you want to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter @thirdandroll or send an email to thirdandroll@gmail.com. New episodes every Wednesday. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Third and Roll.
I'm not an afterthought, Spencer, but I'll move on.